Hey there, guys. So I want to thank you for taking the time to join our or my live stream as always. So I do kind of have a little bit of a different setup. I've been working on using different screens, so it's going to take me a little bit to adjust. So I had to go back to using headphones instead of my normal microphone. So I hope that the audio is okay. If there are any issues, be sure to let me know. But just know I'm making a few changes. So thank you guys for taking the time to check this live stream out. As always, I do want to mention my website. It's bponlinefitness.com. Again, on there, you can find a ton of different information as it relates to online fitness coaching. You can also sign up for the email newsletter, which is at the very bottom of the website. You also have access to the free fitness blog. You don't have to sign up for anything to access that. You just go to the website and you can check it out. I always upload to that each week. Usually on Friday, I'll upload a new entry to the blog. So definitely check that out. You'll also be notified when I do have a new blog post. Usually I try to send those out as well to anybody who signs up for the newsletter. So with all that being said, guys, what we're going to be talking about today is protein timing. And this is not really a topic that I don't believe I've touched on. There's been certain topics in these streams that I have touched on a little bit before, but I usually try to expand upon what I have sort of talked about. So, what we're going to be talking about, of course, today is on protein timing. So, as it relates to protein timing, there's a lot of different factors to keep in mind when it comes to protein timing. So, what exactly is protein timing? And when I'm talking about this, I'm mainly referring primarily to the goal of muscle gain. However, it can be related to other aspects as well, no matter what your goal is. So it's also dependent on what you're really focusing on and what you're trying to achieve with your workout plan. So protein timing refers to the strategic consumption of protein at specific times throughout the day to maximize muscle protein synthesis and recovery. The primary focus is on the periods before and after workouts known as the anabolic window. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more, but just know that this is really talking about the strategic timing of protein. When would be the best time to consume protein because it's going to be more optimal in helping to build more muscle. So, why protein timing is important? So, one thing is that it enhances muscle protein synthesis. So, consuming protein around your workouts can significantly boost MPS, which is known as muscle protein synthesis, leading to greater muscle gain. So, this is the process of building muscle basically. Improved recovery. So, proper protein intake helps repair muscle fibers damaged during exercise. So, reducing soreness and speeding up recovery. Something that you may not be aware of is that, proper protein intake does help with reducing that sort of sense of soreness. Sustained muscle growth. So, regular protein intake throughout the day ensures a steady supply of amino acids, supporting continuous muscle repair and growth. So, as you're consuming protein enough in your body, you're giving your muscles the proper nutrients they need to continue to grow that muscle. And like I've mentioned in the past, really tracking your meals and really tracking your nutrition is key to being aware of that. So keep that in mind. Now, there are different, like I mentioned at the beginning, there's various ways to sort of think about this. And this can be either pre-workout or post-workout protein intake. So there's different methods to sort of keep in mind. So consuming protein before a workout can increase the availability of amino acids in the bloodstream during exercise. This can enhance muscle protein synthesis, which is known as MPS, during and after the workout, leading to better muscle repair and growth. Pre-workout protein can help reduce muscle damage and soreness by by providing the necessary building blocks for muscle repair. This can lead to quicker recovery times and improved performance in subsequent workouts. So, Basically, when it comes to pre-workout protein, this is going to be very beneficial in order to, basically in turn help with your post-workout, feel, how you feel post-workout basically. So you're providing your body the proper nutrients it needs for that muscle prepare during your workouts. So keep that in mind that you're going to have quicker recovery times if you were to consume, proper protein intake before your workouts versus at a different time. So that's what I'm trying to get across here is that there can be benefits when it comes to pre-workout protein intake. Now, I know this isn't necessarily talking about protein, but one of the another thing that you could keep in mind relating to pre-workout is basically, carb intake. Carb intake can help with your pre-workout. It's going to help with energy. And protein is a little bit different at what it does versus carbs. So keep that in mind that those are a little bit different. So what protein is going to do is helping to sort of repair the muscles, helping to build the muscles. Whereas when we're talking about carb intake, that's primarily focusing on helping with energy throughout the duration of the workout. So I've talked about carbs a little bit when it comes to pre-workout, and that's why I wanted to mention that as well. So the next part here is post-workout protein intake, which is something that I focus on primarily. When it comes to my pre-workout stuff that I consume pre-workout, usually it is more higher carb based, but it does also include protein. Usually I'll have like a Cliff Bar before I work out that has, a good mix of nutrients in it, whether it's carbs, fats, and proteins. It's really got a balance of it, but it is a little bit higher in carbs. But for my post-workout intake, as far as nutrients, it's always high in protein because of, sort of the muscle damage post-workout. So that's why I make mainly protein intake, a priority for my post-workout sort of regimen, I guess you could say. So aim to consume protein within 30 minutes to 2 hours after your workout to take full advantage of the anabolic window. This timing helps ensure that your muscles receive the necessary nutrients when they are most needed. Choose high quality, fast digesting protein sources to quickly supply amino acids to your muscles. Whey protein, known for its fast absorption and high leucine content, which is critical for muscle protein synthesis. This is usually what as far as, when I'm doing my protein shakes or anything of that sort, I always, use whey protein, something I go to every time. Usually, right after my workouts, when I come home, I always make a protein shake. That's usually what I do. So it's right in that same window of time. So protein shakes, convenient, quick to prepare, and ideal for immediate post-workout consumption. So whole foods, if you prefer whole foods, if you don't want to, just, consume protein shake, you can always, eat something, a meal, post-workout meal that's high in protein. So options like chicken breast, fish, or eggs can also be effective, though they may digest more slowly than whey protein. So that's something to keep in mind is that certain types of protein will digest a little bit faster than others. So protein distribution. So one thing I mentioned earlier is that it is, we're talking about various different times to consume protein. And one of these is about distributing the protein intake throughout the day and how to properly do that, basically. So, protein distribution. So, there's four different things to keep in mind here. So, you want to determine the needs. So, calculate your daily protein requirement based on factors such as body weight, activity level, and fitness goals. A common guideline is 1.2 to 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. This is something that I mention to my clients all the time. Your protein intake should be, in line with your body weight. For example, if you are 160 pounds, your protein intake should be roughly 160 to 163 grams of protein based on that body weight. So that's something that a good guideline to follow. So The next thing here is dividing protein intake. Once you know your daily protein needs, divide this amount evenly across your meals. For example, if you need 120 grams of protein per day and eat 3 meals, aim for about 40 grams of protein per meal. So really plan out, your meals according to your goal. You don't have to consume a whole thing of protein all at once. You need to just, distribute it properly throughout the day and divide it throughout the meals you consume. For example, if you have, let's say you only eat like 3 meals and you may not get enough protein, you may be close to getting your protein intake, but you may not get enough. Include snacks throughout the day. So any high protein snacks, anything like nuts or, you know, Greek yogurt, anything of that sort is going to be helpful, to sort of increase that protein intake. So keep that in mind. Include protein in every meal. Ensure each meal contains a good source of protein. Breakfast, eggs, Greek yogurt, or a protein smoothie. Lunch, chicken breast, tofu, or lentil salad. Dinner, fish, beef, and quinoa bowl with beans. That's another great option when it comes to, protein in every meal. There's a lot of different options out there that you can include. You don't have to necessarily follow these. For me, a lot of my high protein stuff is usually Greek yogurt, chicken. That is, a good source of it or a good portion of it. And then I usually have a protein shake. You know, Usually I do consume a lot of rice. Um, that's a little bit more into the carbs, but anything like grilled chicken, Greek yogurt, eggs, anything of that sort is going to be good for, increasing your protein intake. You can also mix protein sources, which is the last point here. Combine various protein sources to get a range of amino acids and other nutrients that include both animal-based proteins, meat, dairy, and eggs, and plant-based proteins, legumes, nuts, and seeds. Another thing too, when it comes to snacks, anything like a trail mix snack or nuts, anything like that are really good for if you're lacking in that area, if you're really lacking in your protein intake. Including those snacks are very beneficial. Hard boiled eggs, another thing too, is that I eat. That's another great option. You can use that as a snack instead of just in an outright meal. So keep that in mind as well. So the next point here is protein for individual needs. So again, you need to keep your needs in mind, what your goal is to know what you need to consume. So fitness goals, protein timing can significantly impact different individual goals such as muscle building, fat loss, endurance, performance, and overall health. Age consideration. Age significantly influences protein requirements and timing as the body's ability to process and utilize protein changes over time. Health conditions. Adjusting protein timing and intake based on specific health conditions can significantly improve management and outcomes, enhancing overall well being. So keep in mind that your protein intake is your timing with how you consume your protein is going to change depending on where you're at. So, depending on what your goal is, of course, protein may not be that much of an issue if you're focusing, primarily on a different goal. Whereas if you're focusing on, you know, more muscle gain and anything of that nature, protein does need to be a priority. So your timing does need to be, well timed. Again, don't think that you have to really, you know, consume it at this exact time, but know that it's going to be more beneficial towards your goal if you're consuming protein in the proper time frame, basically. So keep in mind, age considerations, health conditions, anything like that can sort of determine and factor into, your protein intake timing as well. So, protein timing in sleep. So, during sleep, the body undergoes critical repair and growth processes. Consuming protein before bed provides a steady supply of amino acids that can support muscle protein synthesis and repair throughout the night. One thing is, like I mentioned a couple slides ago about different types of protein, and the protein powder whey protein, which you've likely heard of, it's a very common protein, and that's a little bit more fast digesting. There's another type of protein that you may not know of as well, but it is distributed much like the supplement of whey protein, and it's known as casein. So, one type of protein is casein. This is known for its slow digestion and absorption, making it an ideal protein source before bed. So, it provides a sustained release of amino acids over several hours, supporting muscle repair and growth during sleep. So, that's another way. If you may have lacked a little bit of protein throughout the day, you could, take a casein, supplement or casein powder, mix it up. That's protein itself, and you can, increase your intake in that way as well. So again, casein is not really the best option for during the day because it is a slow digesting source. Um, and that's why, whey protein is very common because it's something that is fast digesting in your body. So keep in mind that you can get the supplement casein, much like you get whey protein. So that's another way that you can consume protein. Say you lacked your protein intake throughout the day, you could have that, late in the afternoon, you could drink it, and then you would have that supply, of protein at night. So, debunking protein timing myths. So, protein timing is only important for bodybuilders and athletes. So, while athletes and bodybuilders often focus on protein timing to optimize performance and muscle growth, protein timing can benefit anyone looking to improve their health and fitness. So, proper protein distribution can aid in weight management, satiety, and muscle maintenance, especially for older adults. So, again, your timing really, it doesn't matter what your goal is, it's still going to be beneficial to have protein intake in your diet and to properly time that protein intake. It's still going to be beneficial. Plant-based proteins are inferior for protein timing. Plant-based proteins were once considered inferior due to their lower levels of certain essential amino acids to animal proteins. However, combining different plant proteins can provide complete amino acid profile, making them just as effective. I include a mix. Like I mentioned, usually as far as for my plant-based protein, anything like almonds or anything like that, I usually try to include a little bit of that in my diet as well. Now, I do consume a lot of animal-based protein, but having a mix is still going to be beneficial. So don't necessarily neglect anything that's plant-based. You still are going to get good amount of protein from a lot of different plant-based proteins. So definitely include those in your diets. Don't avoid those necessarily. Of course, you're going to really consume more animal-based proteins, but plant-based proteins are just as beneficial and can help fill in the holes of any, lack of intake you may have. Like I've mentioned with snacks, that's usually, where my plant-based protein comes from is more of snacks basically. So the next point here is you need protein shakes to meet your protein requirements. This is not something you necessarily need to focus on. You don't always have to have protein shakes. So protein shakes are convenient, but they are not necessarily necessary to meet your protein needs. Whole foods can provide all the necessary protein and additional nutrients that supplements may lack. So when it comes to supplements, even if it's like whey protein or protein shakes or anything of that sort, the only reason they're there is to help if you lack the proper intake of that nutrient. So that comes along with any sort of supplement out there, and that's why they're called supplements, because they are there to fill in the holes of your diet. If you lack, like for example, in a specific vitamin, if you lack in vitamin C, you would take a vitamin C supplement in order to increase your intake of that specific vitamin. Same can be said for protein. It's the same concept. The reason those are there, protein shakes are they're a option to help supplement more protein into your diet. That's what that's there for. So just know that you don't necessarily have to take a supplement. Now, if you do need to increase your intake, then that's when you can incorporate a supplement. But you can still get proper protein intake in your diet, even without, taking any protein shake, you can still get those nutrients, is what I'm trying to get across here. So keep that in mind as well. Alrighty, guys. So that's pretty much all I have for you today. Again, as always, I hope that you find this helpful and valuable, and that it's something that you can take with you and or sort of incorporate into your routine. Again, protein timing is it's very simple. There's not really too much detail into it, but I wanted to dive a little bit deeper and to go over some of the intricacies that you may not know, like some of the myths, as well as sort of pre-workout, consuming protein pre-workout versus protein post-workout. Again, when it comes to, intaking protein post workout, at least within, 30 minutes to 2 hours from when you finished training or exercising is a good time. You can easily do that. I mean, it's just keep that in mind that it's not going to go against your goal if you don't get it in that time frame, but it's going to be a little bit more beneficial if you do consume that protein intake in that particular time frame. So keep that in mind. So, with all that being said, guys, again, I want to mention my website. It's bponlinefitness.com. Of course, I did the whole spiel at the beginning of the live stream, so you should know everything about the website. Ton of information there. You can sign up to schedule a consultation call with me to join online coaching. You can do that as well on there. Again, free fitness blog, access to the live streams that I do. Ton of information there, so definitely check that out. If you have any questions or if you want to learn a little bit more about online coaching, you can still message me. You can send me an email at brandonpart95@gmail.com, or you can text me. If you do send me a message, please let me know what your question is and who you are. Because there are times where I get text messages from numbers and they just say, hey, and I don't know who it is. So if you do send me a text, just let me know who you are and what you wanted to talk about or what your question is, and just let me know that. So that's something I wanted to mention because I do sometimes get messages and I don't know who anybody is. So I just want to make sure that you have a particular question and I know who you are and I can talk to you directly. So thank you guys as always. I do have another live stream that I'm working on for next week. I'm going to be talking about a little bit about fitness tech and gadgets. So, talking a little bit about things like, fitness trackers as well as different applications for fitness that can help you sort of stay on your routine. So, that's what I'm going to talk about in the next stream. So, with all that being said, guys, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this stream. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You can always send me a message on Messenger as well. So thank you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next live stream.